What up, world? Established Rich coming right back at you. Listen, I know when y'all hear the name Shakur, you automatically think Tupac. But before Pac ever touched the mic, there was Assata. She was the name that Black America whispered with respect. She was born Joanne Bryant in 1947 in Queens, New York. And from day one, she was taught that her blackness was not a burden, it was a battlefield. Her grandparents told her, you as good as anybody. And she believed them, but America didn't. Assata grew up seeing the civil rights movement turn into the Black Power movement. And she wanted more than just freedom papers and equality on paper. She wanted justice, she wanted power, she wanted liberation. And so she joined the Black Panther Party. But she soon left because to her, the Panthers talked too much and moved too slow. That led her to the Black Liberation Army, a group that believed freedom wouldn't be given, it had to be taken. To some, the Black Liberation Army were heroes. To others, they were criminals with guns. And Assata became the face of that contradiction. A woman who embodied everything America feared. Black, radical, and unafraid. She was indicted 10 times in the early 70s. Robbery, kidnapping, murder. The government threw the book at her. But 9 times out of 10, the cases fell apart. Acquittals, dismissed, hung jury, until the night of May 2nd, 1973.
Shakur was a Black Liberation Army member who was convicted for her role in a 1973 shootout that killed a New Jersey state trooper. After escaping prison years later, she resurfaced in Cuba in 1984, eventually receiving political asylum. The Cuban Foreign Ministry announcing Friday, Assata Shakur, also known as Joanne Chesimard, died at the age of 78 from health conditions. The National Police Association's Betsy Brantner-Smith telling us she should have been back in the U.S. a long time ago.
Why wasn't there more done to get this woman back into custody?
A member of the Black Liberation Army, which the FBI describes as, quote, one of the most violent militant organizations of the 1970s, Chesimard was convicted in 1977 of murdering New Jersey State Trooper Warner Forster.
I guess his family can have a measure of peace now, but they never really did get justice.
In 1979, she escaped from prison before resurfacing in Cuba in 1984, where then Cuban leader Fidel Castro awarded her political asylum. Speaking with NBC News in 1998, Chesimard proclaiming her innocence.
Did you shoot Warner Forster?
No, I did not. I was shot with my arms in the air.
In 2013, the FBI made Chesimard the first woman on its most wanted terrorists list, the reward for her capture growing to $2 million. During his first term, President Trump demanding Cuba return her to the U.S.
Including the return of the cop killer, Joanne Chesimard.
New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy and State Police Superintendent Colonel Pat Callahan releasing a joint statement Friday reacting to her death, writing in part, quote, for years, we worked to bring Chesimard back to face justice, but sadly, she's passed away without being held fully accountable for her heinous crimes.
New Jersey Turnpike, a routine traffic stop that turned into a shootout. State Trooper Warner Forster was killed. Assata was shot twice and taken into custody. Her story, she had her hands up and she never touched a gun. The police story, she was crouched and firing at officers. An all-white jury believed the police. She was found guilty of murder and sentenced to life plus 33 years. But Assata Shakur was never gonna die in a prison cell. She was broke out of prison in 1979 by members of the Black Liberation Army. They smuggled guns into prison, took guards hostage, and escaped in a van. And Assata vanished. Like a ghost, she disappeared into the underground. She went from New Jersey safe houses to Pittsburgh to the Bahamas. And she finally landed in Cuba in 1984, where she was given asylum. Now, let me stop right here, because we have to acknowledge the fact that a state trooper died that night. Warner Forster did not come home to his family. And out of respect, I send condolences to his loved ones. But that does not erase the controversy of Assata's case, because even with her conviction, many believe she was framed, targeted, and silenced for her politics. In Cuba, Assata became a symbol. To the U.S. government, she was a wanted terrorist with a $2 million bounty on her head. To Black America, she was an escaped slave. She herself said, I'm a 20th century escaped slave. She wrote her autobiography, Assata, in 1987. And that book became required reading for activists all around the world. She didn't just write about struggle. She wrote about dignity. She wrote about survival. She wrote about being a Black woman who refuses to be broken. And this is where the Shakur bloodline comes full circle. Because Assata was the godmother of Tupac Shakur. Afeni Shakur, Pac's mother, was cut from the same cloth. She represented herself in court against the federal government and won. She was brilliant, she was powerful, but she fell to addiction. And yet she still raised Pac, a son who embodied revolution in his music. So when Pac spoke about struggle, when Pac spoke about fighting the system, when Pac spoke about revolution, he was speaking about his family. He was speaking from Assata. He was speaking from a Feni. He was speaking from his blood. Assata lived out her days in Cuba, teaching, writing, raising her daughter. She remained guarded because she knew the U.S. government wanted her back. But she also remained free, something many of her comrades never achieved. And now, at 78 years old, she's gone. She died in Havana, outside the reach of the government who label her a terrorist. Her legacy is complicated. To some, she's a hero. To others, she's a killer. But you can't talk about Assata without talking about America, about how black organizations were targeted, surveilled, and monitored by COINTELPRO, and about how a black woman escaped prison, lived free, and died on her own terms, because that alone makes her one of the most remarkable figures in American history. Rest in peace to Assata Shakur. Like, comment, subscribe, establish rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.